What's up, guys? Welcome back. Today is a very special day because we are celebrating 200,000 subscribers with this beautiful fried lobster fried rice. But before we do that, please take a quick second to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to hit that bell to enable notifications as well. This episode is sponsored by HelloFresh. With our schedules becoming more and more busy, I absolutely love the convenience of HelloFresh. The average grocery store trip takes about 41 minutes, and trust me guys, I know this because I live in there. With HelloFresh, you can skip some of these trips to the grocery store and get everything you need to make chef-curated meals delivered right to your doorstep. HelloFresh makes eating healthy way easier with many low-carb, carb-smart, vegetarian, and even pescatarian options every week. Plus, every recipe is packed with fresh produce sourced directly from farmers. The other thing that I really love about these meals is that HelloFresh's pre-portioned ingredients mean way less prep work for you and a whole lot less wasted food. No matter what's going on in the world, everyone has to eat, and that's why HelloFresh is here to make eating better easier. No grocery stores, no stressful meal planning, just everything you need to prepare delicious meals delivered right to your doorstep. And I want you guys to try 14 free meals. Go to HelloFresh.com, use the code MrMakeItHappen14 to get 14 free meals and free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com, code word MrMakeItHappen14 for 14 free meals. All right, guys, let's get this party started. We're starting with 3 lobster tails. These are the lobster tails that we're going to chop up and put in our fried rice. Now, if you're on a budget or you just can't find any good lobster tails, you can use shrimp or whatever else you want to use for this. Really, you can use whatever you want. Chicken, scallops, whatever you got at your disposal. But today we're using lobster. We're going to break these apart. We're going to go right down the middle of the lobster tail. This is going to make it super easy to remove the meat from the shell. But before we do that, we need to clean these bad boys off, make sure there's no veins or anything in there that we don't want to eat. Get in there with your hands, make sure the lobster tails are nice and clean. Once you've done that, we're going to remove the meat from the shell and chop it into bite-sized pieces. Just take your finger, get up under the meat and pull it right out of the shell like so. And repeat that process for all of your lobster tails. So here we have 3 lobster tails that we're going to chop up. This is about 8 ounces or so once we remove them from the shell. You can save those shells to make a delicious seafood stock, and I'll do a video on that soon, I promise. But now we're going to chop these lobster tails into bite-sized pieces. Again, this is what's going in our fried rice. We're also going to fry 1 lobster tail that we're going to place on top of the fried rice for presentation purposes. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So take your scissors and cut down the back of the lobster tail like you see me doing right here. And then use each of your thumbs to kind of break apart the shell a little bit. You got to be careful here. You don't want to break the shell too much. You just want to kind of loosen things up a bit. And then you want to take 2 fingers on the opposite side, get up under the lobster meat, and then pull it right out of the shell. And then we're going to lay the lobster meat right on top of the shell like so for a beautiful presentation. And that's how we're going to fry that lobster tail up to place it on top of our rice. Before we do that, we're going in with a quart of buttermilk into a mixing bowl. We're going to soak this lobster tail in that buttermilk. To that buttermilk, we're going to add some all-purpose seasoning. If you haven't tried my all-purpose seasoning yet, you can grab yours with a discount code via the link in my description box. Mix in that all-purpose seasoning into that buttermilk, and then we're going to dunk that lobster tail right into that buttermilk bath for about 30 minutes or so. This is just to add a little extra flavor, and that buttermilk is going to help the flour stick to the lobster beautifully. While we wait for that lobster to marinate, we're going to get started on our spicy mayo. So we're going in with a ½ cup of Japanese mayo, followed by some sriracha. As always, the specific measurements and ingredients can be found in the description box below. Going in with a little hoisin sauce and some all-purpose seasoning. If you don't have the all-purpose seasoning, just use a little salt, pepper, garlic, and onion powder. Break out the whisk and mix to combine. Pop that in the fridge until later. Then in a separate mixing bowl, we're going in with 2 cups of all-purpose flour and 1 cup of cornstarch. We're also going to add some all-purpose seasoning to that mixture as well. The cornstarch is going to help the lobster get nice and crispy. Give that a good mix. Make sure that it's seasoned adequately. And again, if you don't have the all-purpose seasoning, no big deal. Just use a little salt, pepper, garlic, and onion powder. In a wok, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. Allow that to melt. And we'll get started on our fried rice. So first things first, we're going in with that lobster meat that we chopped up earlier. Season that with a little salt and pepper, a little all-purpose seasoning. We're going to cook that lobster meat for about 2 minutes or so just to begin the cooking process. It'll finish cooking later. We also wanted to release some of that flavor into the wok that's going to flavor our rice. So we're going to remove the lobster meat with a slotted spoon, leaving behind all that delicious flavor. Then we're going in with 2 to 3 beaten eggs. Start the scrambling process here, working over medium heat. You just want to partially cook the eggs because, again, we'll finish cooking the eggs in just a few minutes when we add it back to the rice. If you don't like eggs, you can leave them out. Or if you really like eggs, you can add a couple extra in there. Remove the eggs, and then we're going in with about a tablespoon of avocado oil and 1 diced onion, along with some green onion as well. Give that a good mix, and then we're going in with a teaspoon or so of Better Than Bouillon lobster base. If you can't find the lobster base, you can order it on Amazon, or you can just use one of the other flavors like chicken or vegetable. Whatever you can find at your local grocery store will be just fine. Give that a good mix, and then we're going in with a teaspoon each of ginger paste and garlic paste. You can add more or less depending on how much you like ginger and garlic. Give that a good mix, still working over medium heat here. Tons of flavor in this recipe, guys. I can't wait for you guys to try this one. I actually tried this at a place in Atlanta called Port Calvin's. It's really good. Had to come back and recreate it. We're going in with 16 ounces of day-old white rice. So anytime you got some leftover white rice from when you have some, Chinese takeout and you keep that in the refrigerator, you can make your own fried rice later that week. Get in there with your spatula and just break up those chunks of rice. Now we're going in with some ponzu sauce. You can find this in the same section as your soy sauce at most grocery stores. We're also going in with some dark soy sauces to give it some nice color, a depth of flavor as well. Again, guys, as always, specific measurements and ingredients can be found in the description box below, so don't forget to check that out. Now we're going in with some hoisin sauces. It's going to give a little bit of sweetness to the dish. Get in there and give that a good mix. Say it with me, guys. Looking good. Nothing like a good fried rice. This comes together super quick. Going in with some sesame oil. Keep in mind, guys, this stuff packs a serious punch, so don't overdo it on the sesame oil. You can always add a little bit more later if you want, but once it's in there, you can't take it out. So just a few dashes of that. Now we're going in with our scrambled eggs and our lobster meat from earlier. Just break that up, make sure it's well combined. You want to kind of evenly distribute it throughout the rice. And now we're going in with a cup or two of frozen peas and carrots towards the end. If you don't like peas and carrots, you should grow up. Just kidding, guys. If you don't like it, don't add it. I do like peas and carrots, and it also gives a nice color to the fried rice. Now we're moving on to frying our lobster tail. We're going to take that lobster tail out of that buttermilk bath. Then we're going to coat it nicely in that flour and cornstarch mixture. Make sure there's no bald spots. Make sure that it's, breaded on the bottom. All the sides and edges are coated. And then we're going to remove it from the flour and place it on a plate while we wait on our oil to come up to temperature. We're using vegetable oil today, but you can use whatever you got. Wait for that oil to come up to 350 degrees. If you haven't gotten one of my food thermometers, you can grab that via the link in the description as well. And then we're going to lay this lobster tail in, and we're going to cook it for about 5 to 6 minutes or until it hits 145 degrees internal temperature. I like to baste it a little bit to make sure the top is cooking evenly with the bottom. We're going to give it a little flip here in just a second to make sure that it's cooking evenly on both sides. There we go. Nice and golden brown. Absolutely beautiful. The cornstarch is going to help it stay crispy. Oh man, look at that. Say it with me, guys. Looking good. That is a beautifully fried lobster tail. We're going to take our sauce that we made earlier and add it to a squirt bottle for presentation purposes. I mean, this is our 200,000 subscriber celebration post. So we're going to plate this lobster tail up on a bed of lobster fried rice. Hit it with this sauce. Oh my goodness, that looks good. Brace yourself for a trademark money shot. Only thing left to do is to add some green onion for a pop of color and grab my fork for a taste test. Here we go, moment of truth. Let's see what we got. Oh man, it doesn't get much better than this, guys. You have got to give this recipe a try. Make sure you tag me on Instagram when you make it. Definitely a fork drop moment. That's my recipe for lobster fried rice. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and that bell to enable notifications. And as always, thank you for your support.